All right, let's continue with working example number 2, verify solutions to inequalities. So a solution to an inequality is it's a value or set of values that satisfies an inequality. So for example, Trevor solved an inequality of negative 2x is greater than or equal to 11. And he showed that his solution was x is greater than or equal to negative 5.5 on a number line. So he's drawn that here. He's got negative 5.5. It's greater than or equal to that number. It's a closed boundary point there. The word verify, in case you're not sure, means that you're checking your answer. You're confirming that you've got the right answer. So let's do some substitution of some possible points for x into this inequality and see what kind of results we come up with. We're going to start with step 1, check that the value of the boundary point itself is correct. So on the number line, he had negative 5.5 for his boundary point. So let's test that. Now, in this case, it was a closed circle, so it must include negative 5.5 to make both sides equal. So let's check this out. Take the left side of your equation, negative 2x, and you've got your right hand side here, and substitute in your boundary point for x and see what you get. So negative 2 times negative 5.5 is 11. Negative times a negative is positive, so there we go, it's 11. Both sides match, so we know it's a true statement. So we're good. So, in fact, the boundary point of negative 5.5 is correct. So, we've done that. We've confirmed our boundary point. Now we need to confirm which side of the boundary point the arrow should go. So, step 2 is to check the inequality symbol and make sure that it's correct. Now, the number line shows that any number greater than negative 5.5 should make the statement true. So let's test a couple of values that are greater than negative 5.5 and see if it works. So we can test, for example, negative 5 and we can test 0 and see what happens. So negative 5 instead of x, substitute it in. 2 times 5 is 10. Negative times a negative is a positive. So we get 10 is greater than 11. But 10 is not actually greater than 11, so we have a false statement. So let's test another number and see what's going on. Let's test 0. So negative 2 times 0 is 0, and 0 is greater than 11. No, that is not true. It is also a false statement. So something's gone wrong here. And the numbers that we've tested to the right of the boundary point aren't working. So we can probably conclude that he drew the arrow on the wrong side of the arrow, or on the wrong side of the boundary point. So let's test that with a couple of numbers to the left of our boundary point. Let's see what happens. So we'll take, for instance, negative 8 and substitute it in. Negative 8 times negative 2, well, 2 times 8 is 16. Negative times a negative is positive. So in this case, we're saying that 16 is greater than 11, and that is true. Okay, so this is showing that it looks like he did draw the arrow on the wrong side of the boundary point. Let's do one more check just to make sure. Let's try negative 6 for the value of x. Substitute it in. 2 times 6 is 12. Positive or negative times a negative gives you a positive answer. So we have the statement 12 is greater than 11. Again, that is also true. So it looks like the solution should in fact be x is less than or equal to negative 5.5, not greater than or equal to negative 5.5. So that's good. So at some point he forgot to reverse his inequality sign when he was dividing by a negative number. And we can also check this. If we go back to the original inequality, it was negative 2x is greater than or equal to 11. So let's double check this. if we divide by -2 on both sides, divide by -2, these twos cancel, divide out, leaving you with just x on the left. 11 divided by -2 is -5.5. We've divided by a negative, so we have to reverse our sign. So instead of greater than or equal to, it becomes less than or equal to. And yes, that is in fact what we came up with here when we reversed what Trevor did. So that's what he did wrong, was when he was dividing by -2 on both sides, he forgot to reverse his sign. But now we know. Okay, next up is a show you know. Please go ahead and get started on that.